What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the FMA Dumpster Fire Podcast. My name is Paulo Rubio, aka GN. Today, we have a really awesome subject. But first, hey, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the material on this channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. And also, I do these live feeds out of nowhere. And so, if you want to be notified of whenever I hop on, please hit that notification bell so that you don't miss you don't miss the beginning of the show. And in the future, I will try to do a lead up before I get into the topic. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Before I get into the subject matter today, which is should you teach the material you just learned from a seminar? By the way, the answers are going to surprise you. I guarantee you the answers are going to surprise you because this is something that is often discussed in the Filipino martial arts community, usually from a particular group of people who are like, I can't believe it. He's already teaching the material, huh? You cannot teach that after just one seminar. Come on, man, that is a bullshit. But before I get into that, I want to say thank you very much to the people who have already subscribed to the channel, who believe in the mission of what we're trying to do. There are a lot of amazing Filipino martial arts channel already out there on YouTube. I'm trying to carve out my niche, trying to be unique. But just a quick shout out to some really good ones. You know, a YouTube channel that I really enjoy when it comes to my Pikiti Tersha journey is Blackbird Training Group. That's headed by Mandala Lamont Glass, who is just a cerebral fighter in the PTTA. So I think every day I'm going to shout out another YouTube channel in the FMA space that I really enjoy. So yeah, Blackbird Training Group on YouTube. While I'm at it, FMA discussion. If you want to listen to people talk for 2 hours about about FMA, their particular FMA. It's not for everybody, but I think this is an incredible service to the Filipino martial arts community to hear from these masters and grandmasters and system founders in their own words about the thing that they love. So FMA discussion, Blackbird Training Group. Check out Lonely Dog's channel if you want to pick up some great videos, some tips on really adopting the athletic performance for Filipino martial arts fighting. There are few that are better than Lonely Dog's channel. He's Dog Brother, a legendary one, and a hell of a fighter. I hope I get an opportunity to square up with him before we both retire, I guess. So yeah, to recap before we talk about should you teach the material you just learned from a seminar, thank you for those who have already subscribed. Hit that notification bell to be notified of when I go live. And then please go check out Blackbird Training Group, FMA Discussion, and Lonely Dog's YouTube channel. Make sure to hit subscribe on their channels as well. They have been incredible resources for me, and I would just like to share it with my community. So let's get into it. Oh, here we go. Martin Delorier, how's it going? What's up? You're an admin in FMA Discussion. Great YouTube channel, and it continues to grow. I think they're over 60 subscribers, over 1,000 now. Congratulations to Dean Franco and the FMA discussion community for hitting a really important milestone. So good job. So today, should you teach the material you just learned from a seminar? A lot of, by the way, I'm very hyperbolic when I speak. When I say, oh, a lot or so many, the FMA community isn't that big, so it probably means just a handful of people. But I've heard on more than one occasion people talking about or sort of dissing attendees of seminars, right? After just attending a 1-day or a 2-day seminar, they're like, oh no, they're teaching that material. And they sort of have this tone like they shouldn't teach that material, like they couldn't teach that material. But first of all, let's talk about there are two different kinds of seminars, and I hate to be dichotomic about it. Is that a word? Of course, there aren't only two, but primarily there are two kinds of Filipino martial arts seminars. One I would call the buffet. It is a buffet. There may be multiple instructors, but certainly within the framework of a buffet FMA seminar, and an example of a buffet seminar would be Guru Dan Inosanto. And he just chucks concept after concept, technique after technique after technique. He just throws it at you. and barely giving you any time to even functionalize it in the moment. Now that can be criticized, right? And I think it's often criticized or sometimes criticized because the people criticizing it don't actually understand how to extract the true value of something like a Guru Dane Santo FMA seminar. He's purposefully doing that. Somebody who does something similar is Tuhan Kit Asenas, where he just overloads you with concept after concept after concept. Uh, these guys grew up on that stuff. They also attended seminars where they were overloaded. And this was back in the day when it was much harder to find a Filipino martial arts seminar. You had to drive hours or travel halfway across the world to attend a Filipino martial arts seminar, and you would just soak it all up. But what these people would do that I find less people are doing these days is that they would take those concepts, they would take it back to their home gyms or home dojos, their training groups, and they would work it. From what they can remember, from what they can decipher from the notes that they took, they would spend a good chunk of time actually working out the contents of that seminar while it's still fresh in their minds. Now you have to admit, people are doing that far less frequently. And what I'm beginning to observe more and more of are people who just sort of attend the seminars, and I'm not ragging on this, but to be with their friends, right? They go there because it's a great community event. And let's be real, they go there to get the selfie from the high profile instructor, and to show the certificate that you got that day and to post it on social media. And I think a lot of these people don't actually drill and train these concepts, which is a travesty. And these kinds of buffet seminars are getting a bad rap because people aren't actually doing what they're supposed to do with them, which is to train them out. Okay, so that's one kind of seminar. The other kind of seminar I like to call the working seminar, the focused seminar. These seminars are characterized by a very limited scope. It's a limit. They're not throwing a whole bunch of technique after technique at you. They're actually focusing on 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 principles, and they're putting in the work. They're getting their reps within the framework of that seminar. Look, one isn't better than the other. They're both great. They both have their place. But when your intentions or your expectations are misaligned with what you get, which often has to do with how these seminars are marketed, because I understand when you hold a seminar, you want as many people to be there as possible. And so you have to kind of do what like these blockbuster movies do before release, is like you cut different trailers and you disseminate it based on the demographic you think it's going to respond to, right? So when you see an FMA seminar, it's like, holy crap, the scope is way too big for this to be functional immediately. So then what we're looking at there is a buffet type seminar where it's really incumbent upon the student to remember and retain as much as they can, slivers, skeletons of these concepts, and then immediately begin the process of training them. If you don't do that, then you can criticize that seminar as being of no value or of little value. But that's not the seminar's fault. That's your fault. That's your fault as a student. Now, if you go to a very focused seminar with a very limited scope, and you're like, oh man, that was a boring seminar. All we did, was like arm drags. All we did, we practically did just angle ones the whole time. I already know the angle one. Well, that's also not the seminar's fault. That's your fault. And again, it may be because your expectations weren't managed in the marketing phase, right? Maybe the instructor marketed it as, mastery of Pichidi Tersha. Meanwhile, all you did were angle ones, angle ones progressively, right? So then you could also be like, oh, that was a shit seminar, man. All we did were angle ones because of a mismanaged expectation, right? I love, when it comes to Filipino martial arts, I don't really, personally speaking, right? I know a lot of people aren't me and they don't have the same preferences as me, but my preference for a Filipino martial arts seminar isn't the buffet type seminar, right? Because I really don't have the level of experience or like academic sophistication needed to really find value in that. And to be honest, I haven't got the time to train all of those things when I get back to my home gym. Right, so my preference is these supremely focused, limited scope seminars. It could be one could be single stick defensive tactics for sparring. Like that is a weekend seminar I would absolutely attend. Or maybe single knife management in quarto range, right? Where all we're doing is we're doing a lot of pummeling drills, wrist pummeling drills. Maybe we're working on our draws, and that's all we do for the entire weekend is knife management in quarto range. That's the kind of seminar that I prefer. It's also because my mind can be loopy sometimes. So when you are in a seminar that is extremely focused, you can tune out for an hour and focus on the one thing that you are fixated on, right? So if the seminar is supremely focused, and sometimes, you know who's good at this is Tuhan Jack Latorre. So shout out Tuhan Jack Latorre for his for some of his Zoom seminars. When his Zoom seminars are focused, it could be a 2-3 hour seminar, and he would teach me something in the first 15 minutes, and I practically tune out for the rest of the seminar because in my head, I'm working out that first thing that he gave me. Now, the good thing about a focus seminar is that I'm always going to know what he's talking about, right? He's always going to talk. He's always going to be talking about whatever the seminar is focused on. So that's why I love it. It works for me. You can be functional immediately, even within the framework of that seminar. So those are the differences, right? So now, which of those seminars can be taught immediately? I think the answer is pretty simple, right? I think the answer is evident. And I think when people go to seminars that are buffet type seminars and then they try to teach that, then the criticisms are warranted. Yeah, it's possible that they didn't get the depth of understanding that they ought to have acquired before they teach that stuff, right? You guys agree with me? Thumbs up if you do. And yeah, I totally get that. That's valid. But when the seminar is supremely focused, there is no reason somebody who attends that seminar couldn't go back to their dojo and begin teaching that stuff already. Number one, the people who attend these seminars aren't all, noobs, right? These are people who have been studying martial arts for a really, really, really long time. They've attended seminars before. They know how to extract the value of them. They have excellent communication skills, and they're great instructors. So if you have all of those things in place, there's no reason why you couldn't go to a weekend seminar and immediately begin plugging that in. And I think these people get a bad rap from these critics who really don't understand themselves that there are nuances to this and that we can't be plastering the same philosophies and making criticisms broadly in that way. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. And look, another thing I want to mention, this is really important. I'm going to correlate this to military and law enforcement training in just a second. Let me go ahead and address some of the comments that have been popping up. I love you guys. This is awesome. Yeah, Dean is the man. I want to see more Dean Franco on FMA discussion, straight up. Like I love his authenticity. Dean Franco, FMA discussion. I love how he gets uncomfortable sometimes, and it's just Dean Franco was the reason I fell in love with FMA discussion. I want to see more Dean Franco, more Dean Franco. The other people who are popping up as guests, awesome. Variety, diversity, also great. Papa Jetter, teaching can be a way of assessing what you have learned, right? But yes, absolutely. Learn to teach, teach to learn. You have to make your students aware of that, okay? Because oftentimes in the process of continual learning through the process of teaching, sometimes instructors can propose themselves to be subject matter experts at it already, which is, I mean, I get why they do that, but it's shit. It's shit. They shouldn't do that. Best Dash, nice to see you again here, brother. Welcome. It depends on my skill level why I shouldn't teach stuff from a seminar when actually understand and able to execute the stuff that I learned. Fair enough. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Martin, if an advanced practitioner who understands masters well basic concepts and who practices techniques, concepts seen in the seminar when it's still fresh could teach what was seen after. Okay, I think I understand what you're trying to say. Again, framing how you teach may require adjustment, right? So if I'm a Taekwondo expert and then I attend a Muay Thai seminar, I'm not going to teach the swing kick as if I've been doing it all my life. It would be framed under, well, how can we utilize the mechanics of a swing kick under the framework of a Taekwondo competition? Something like that. There has to be an honesty and a modification to it. So now, Now I'm going to talk about, I'm going to defend people who attend weekend seminars and teach it. Again, with some modification, with honesty. These are the caveats, right? But listen, military and law enforcement adopt this training methodology all the time, right? If you're a department head, if you're the training department lead in your unit, you will absolutely go to a weekend or a one-day expandable baton seminar and be expected to teach it to your department. It happens all the time. This is the standard, right? If you're a military personnel and then you go to a weekend certification on how to fly commercial drones, right? You can absolutely take that material and teach it back to your unit. If you are, again, a law enforcement professional and you attend a weekend seminar at the National Tactical Officers Association training conference on how to use the knife as a backup weapon, you can absolutely immediately train that with and teach it to your recruits, right? To your men and women. So it happens all the time, but these things need to be in place, right? And here's the important thing: sustainment training. Sustainment training, requalifications are important. It's not like you attend single knife management and quarter range one time and then you can teach it for an entirety, particularly if you want to represent someone else's school of thought, right? Someone else's system or curriculum. Sustainment training is important. It's very, very important. So those are my caveats. Now, what shouldn't you teach after attending a weekend seminar? Well, if I attended a Bikini Tersha or a Balintawak weekend seminar, I cannot go back to my karate dojo and say, well, I teach Balintawak now, or I teach Bikini Tersha now. That, I think, ought to not happen. And I think for the most part, the critics of people who teach what they learn in seminars, that's what they're addressing. That's what they're addressing. And the only thing I want to point out is that there are nuances to this shit. There are filters and conditions that make the practice of teaching what you just learned in a seminar okay. And there are conditions that make it absolutely not okay. But for the people who choose to criticize people who teach what they learn in seminars, okay, there may be some underlying factors also. And I do not want to dismiss this. This is probably not the majority, but I think it's also worth noting to address this. And one of those things is that they just feel threatened. They just feel threatened because they've taken the long path. They've taken a long time to become instructor. And then they see somebody else who may be more articulate, maybe better looking, maybe more charming, who are acquiring students. And of course, the jealous crab will be like, well, oh, bullshit over there, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, that's also a potential underlying factor. Another potential underlying factor is that the self-righteous may feel as if they are guardians of the system. And so when they see somebody teaching elements of that system after just having attended a weekend seminar, they can say, oh, they're watering down the system, huh? You cannot learn this in a weekend. All right, so that also happens, and that, I wouldn't say that's valid. I would say that's understandable. I get the jealousy. I understand why they might be jealous. But it's still crab mentality, right? Because you could be wrong. Again, intentions, perceptions, misconception, all of these things can be misaligned. Do not broad stroke, okay? Especially not without having talked to the individual that you may be criticizing, right? What are you, some sort of like a YouTuber who just makes commentary videos? No, and I know I'm joking, but if you're an instructor, if you're a system head, you ought to be held to a higher standard than, douchebag like me who just has a platform. You know what I'm saying? You ought to be held to a higher standard. And in that respect, going off on a tangent a little bit here, whenever I see an instructor, and particularly figureheads in the system, particularly heirs to the system, whenever I see them engage in negativity online, especially when they trash another instructor, I lose respect for them. Instructors ought to be held to a higher standard. They ought to be held to a higher standard. And so whenever I see an instructor, a system head, that is just emotional and like reactive and negative and trashing someone else from another system online, let's be real. They're not professional. I'm not saying they're not good people. I'm not saying they're not good teachers. I'm saying they lack professionalism. Because the best instructors in the world, right, won't be online trashing other people's interpretation. You don't see someone like a Greg Nelson who has 4 UFC champions going online talking about how someone else is doing it wrong. But we see that in Filipino martial arts, don't we? Ought we not hold these people to a higher standard? And should there not be consequences when they don't uphold these standards? I think they should be. And I know there are people out there who's like, oh, there is Paulo again, disrespecting our elders. And then I must say to those people, hashtag, you are not my elder. You're not. And that's it. That wraps it up. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and address some of these comments. I think I've made my points very clear. If you want to talk about it, I'll see you in the comments. If you agree with me, here's the thing, guys. I know it is natural that when you agree with someone, you don't even comment. But I want to hear from you. Just write, I agree, here's why. Or just hit that thumbs up. But I wouldn't want this community to be populated with just disagreement. Even though I welcome, a good dialogue and good conversation, please understand there are limitations to that. And I'm emotional myself sometimes. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning, I'll read these comments and I'm like, this guy has a good point, but he came across like an asshole. So I either delete it, or in times where I'm not on top of my emotional game myself, I'll feed the troll. And then I'll feel like shit afterwards. So if you're going to comment, even if you disagree with me, please do it with civility in the comment section. I welcome that all day long. All right? And if you agree with me, yeah, let me know, please. Because otherwise, it's just going to seem like there's 5 guys who disagree with me and 1 guy who agrees with me. And people are just going to get the wrong idea. So help me out, community. Help me out. Okay, guys? All right, so let me address the comments. First of all, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Contact me if you want to be on, but, let's not just, do this. When you message me and you want to be on the show, which, by the way, I'm still working on finding a producer, so I'm sorry to the people who have requested, who I've said yes to, but I haven't found time to schedule yet. Let's talk about something, right? Let's not be like, I just want to talk about Filipino martial arts or shoot the shit. Like, no, let's talk about something. Pick 2 or 3 topics that you want to discuss, and then let's hammer it out. Brian Kanata, thank you very much. I appreciate it. What the hell is up with your profile picture? That is awesome. There is a big difference between teaching a technique versus teaching a system. 100%. There's also, I can teach a technique after learning it 5 minutes ago. But am I going to have the depth? No, I'm not. Am I going to understand where within the system that technique falls into? I'm not. But I can teach the technique, right? There's a difference between an instructor and a coach or a teacher, right? You can be an instructor. You can instruct like that. You can regurgitate like that. Just understand that you're not going to be able to deliver the depth. So yeah, very good point. But also, I don't learn techniques in the way that some people collect them, and I do not learn systems. I wouldn't say I'm anti-learning systems. I just believe that it's not for me. I think for me, it's a complete waste of time to learn the entirety of a system. First of all, it takes a lifetime, right? Most Filipino martial arts really take a lifetime to learn, and it's just a carrot dangling in front of you of like, you're never good enough. You're never good enough. The system is too big. So I choose not to chase the carrot. Instead, I choose to be a principle-based learner. This is what allows me to navigate from system to system to system and fight these dudes in that system, high-level dudes in that system, because I understand that there is a degree of universality and there are a lot of commonalities and tendencies that I can exploit in the fight. So, no, I won't know a high box pattern. No, I won't know Sombrada variation 8, right? But if you want to free flow with me, we can do that all day long. We can regulate our energy all the way up until the moment it feels like a friggin' knife fight. So I can do that, but I can't teach you Sombrada. I can barely teach Sabayan. Sabayan or Kodamama is a drill in Pikiti Tertia. It's the only drill I know, and I've been learning it for like going on 4 years now. Literally, that's the only drill I know. And it's the only drill that I can confidently teach. Out of all the time that I've spent in Filipino martial arts, I feel I am qualified to teach one drill. Not qualified to teach Pikiti Tertia, not qualified to teach footwork or tactics or anything like that. But I can teach you Sabayan. I can teach you Sabayan, and I can give you the universe contained within a simple, three strike, three defense, simple pattern. Very, I can do it. I love it. Teach versus represent. Yeah, okay. I think I'm digging that. I think. And finally, bestage. That is fraud. To say I'm a practitioner of something, what I just left in a day or weekend seminar is just fraud. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, brother. I don't think it's fraudulent to say that you're a practitioner of something after a weekend seminar. Like if I attended an Estacada de Campo fundamentals course, and it was with Celestino Macachor, the director of training for that system, and I put everything that I have into those 2 days, I can call myself a practitioner of that system. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I wouldn't be dishonoring them. I don't think I'd be fraudulent, right, to say that I'm a practitioner. At what point can we say we are a practitioner of something, right? I'm a practitioner of Balintawak, but I don't train Balintawak. I don't train the Balintawak curriculum, but I am a practitioner of it. I don't learn any curriculum in Pikiti Tertia, but I am a Pikiti Tertia practitioner. I'm not a boxer, but I may be a boxing practitioner, in the process. So I don't think it's fraudulent. That's a little harsh. But anyway, those are my points. I don't want to make this seminar. I don't want to make this podcast too long because I think it dissuades people from watching once they say, holy crap, I'm not going to listen to Paulo for an hour and a half. So those are my points. If you missed it, go ahead and watch it. But do I think that one can teach the contents of a seminar to their students after attending? Can one teach the contents of a seminar to their students after attending a weekend seminar? Absolutely, 100% you can, under certain conditions. All right? Hey, before I go, I just want to say thank you again to everybody who has subscribed to the channel, who tune into these podcasts. I hope you find value in it. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you very much for your subscription, most especially. That is the hardest to earn and is the biggest value currency on the YouTube's land. So thank you very much. If you did hit that subscribe button, I really appreciate it. You're helping me grow. You're helping the community grow. And so until next time, thank you guys very much for tuning in to FMA Source and on the FMA Dumpster Fire podcast. My name is Paulo Rubio. Real face, real name. I stand behind what I say, and I'll apologize when I'm wrong. Thank you very much. I'll see you.